Welcome to the Civic Pulse with David Bonior and Brian Brady. We are here on Sunday, November 16th with our once monthly, twice monthly show we do where we interview former Congressman David Bonior about the world events and also the politics and how to take back control the Democrats of power in the federal government. So David, first, how are you doing this Sunday? It's a football Sunday. You got your
It is. The Commanders are playing right now as we speak. They're playing in Spain too, so it's the first time they've ever played in Spain, or anybody in the NFL has played in Spain. So we'll see what happens. They're playing the Dolphins.
You're a Lions fan too. What percent of you is a Lions fan and what percent of you is a Commander fan?
I'd say 50-50. Yeah.
You're 50-50.
Yeah.
You sound like a guy who won a lot of contests for Congress there.
Well, my standard answer for when I don't know something, people ask me, I say, well, it's 50-50. You know? But I think I think I was never very much of a, what they used to call them, the Redskins, terrible name. And, I started to support them after they got rid of Schneider. They got this new owner who's really a good guy. I like him. And the good manager, good coach too. They're having a tough year this year, a lot of injuries, but anyway, they're fun to watch. So I'm giving them 50% of my investment of time right now, but most of it is, if I can get a Lions game on the TV, I'll watch them.
Well, my team, the Bears, have resurrected themselves. So I'll be tuning in for that. Hey, let's talk politics here.
Okay.
And some interesting, I feel like people are coming around to your side of the political, how to win elections strategy, David. You 2 weeks ago, it feels like 2 months ago, but we had Mamdani, Spangberger, Cheryl win in a pretty big Democratic sweep. California, everything really came up Democrat in the last 2 weeks ago. Give me your analysis of that election and what you think the takeaways are.
Well, I think they have the man at the top, even though he wasn't on the ballot, doing poorly. His approval ratings were really in the toilet, so to speak. 37% last time I looked. You can't. That's not good. And they're blaming him, obviously, for the unaffordability of life today.
Yeah.
For too many people. So the affordability issue was very significant. And, they picked it up and they used it. They messaged it reasonably well. We always can do much better in our party in messaging.
But, how so? Give me a specific way.
Well, the ads that were run, for instance, by Cheryl and Stamberger, excuse me, and Mamdani, of course, in New York. So they all picked up on it, and it became an echo chamber in the political world. A lot of places they didn't vote, but interestingly enough, even the places where there weren't people on for top state positions, but there were races for the local county or the city or this, we did very well, the Democrats did. So it was kind of across the board, and that's what you want to see. So I was, very pleased with it, and I think it shows that we can be competitive again. That we're not a dormant or a dead party, and that's good, because that was starting to creep in. And but I was not happy with what happened, of course, not very shortly thereafter, with the 8 members of the Democratic Party in the Senate caving in to the White House, and I didn't see that as smart at all. It killed the momentum we had, and we staked our money, our bet, our ideology on the fact that we were going to stand up on health care for people who were going to be really hit hard. I mean, we're talking, 15, 20, 25 million people in this country who are going to see their health insurance premiums go up. So it's unaffordable. That was
Yeah.
a mistake to give up on that. I feel strongly about that. And
Seems like
we'll see what.
they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory.
Well, I don't know that they actually did that. I think some of us who watch this on the inside are more upset than anything, but we'll see if that happens. Yeah.
Let me just take the other side of this
Sure.
because Senator Durbin, who's been a good senator from Illinois for a long time, and usually is willing to fight. Sometimes I don't think he's as media savvy as a lot of the younger generation, the Mamdanis of the world, but
Yeah.
he's usually pretty strong and principled. He's not running again, and he joined. I feel like he did Schumer's bidding and joined the 8 votes. My guess is their calculus. I'm wondering which their calculus is 2 things. One is if we stay, is that Trump will blow the whole thing up, and he doesn't care. He just wants executive power, right, to do his authoritarian dreams, and that. So that on one hand, they're a little worried about just going on in perpetuity with the shutdown because it drives executive power. They get to choose who and what to spend, right? And then we had the SNAP, withholding of SNAP. I also wonder if the second piece of this is they want the political carnage of the Affordable Care Act going way up for folks, the premiums, to be on Republicans' lap at the midterm. So there was these two realities that they were taking, but the Senate is a little bit hard to. What do you think was their main line of thought?
Well, you mean the 8 that caved?
And Schumer was behind it. He pretended that he wasn't, but we know he was.
Yeah, he's the leader, so
yeah,
it didn't show much leadership. But anyway, yeah, I don't know what was behind. I think there's a lot of individual stuff. For instance, Kane was one of them, and it was a big. He shouldn't have been a big surprise because he's the one who got the provisions in the law that made it through both bodies of the Congress and reached the president, and the president signed. And that was to, give the people, the federal workers, which he has a lot of. Northern Virginia is just filled with federal workers. And so they got their pay, so that was significant for him. But the others, I wasn't quite sure. I just think that the party is going to have a problem with the senator from Pennsylvania for as long as he's there. I just think that's a trend that's happened with him. And, he had an accident over the weekend and like 20 stitches or something. He fell. But still, his voting has been erratic, and I think that's a problem. So then you had Shaheen, which I just think she's leaving too, and then she's been a solid but not spectacular senator, but solid over the years, and she's given a lot, but it was not a good way to go out, I don't think, for her. That's my impression. But that's New Hampshire, and she's also brought along the former New Hampshire governor, who's a U.S. senator now, and she voted to leave the party's position. Hassan, I think, is and she's basically been pretty conservative in her time in the Senate, so her voting
Angus King,
Angus King is that's what you do when you're Angus King and you got a state and you're running as an independent. You try to appeal to as many people as you can. So we'll see how that works out. I guess he has a son that's running for Congress as well, at Angus King. But he's a thoughtful guy. He's but sometimes wrong direction. I think he took the wrong direction. Anyway, each one has their own reason why they did what they did. And I just don't think it's, I know people who are really scared because their health insurance. I know a number of people the premiums are going to go up that they can't afford. So what are they going to do? They have families, they have kids. It's going to be terrible. So, they say they're going to give them a vote on it. Doesn't matter, because even if they got the vote and we passed it, I don't think Trump will sign it.
And then you have, Master. My daughter's in that boat.
This is for the subsidies for people who are watching that.
Yeah. My
Were
daughter has to
taken
buy
out of
it.
the big ugly bill they passed on the budget, and
Yes.
they're just critical for making it work. The Obamacare.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. That story dominated the news cycle for so long, and then now we have the Epstein files hit, and ICE arrests attacks in Charlotte now. A lot of those ICE agents have moved from Chicago. We found out yesterday that 97.5% of the folks arrested by ICE, David, in Chicago, had no criminal background.
I saw that on the news last night.
And that whole military raid on that South Side African American complex, none of them were charged. Zero. And they zip tied those children. And
this is getting across to the country. I didn't think it would, but I was wrong on that. The country is starting to move away from Trump on his extreme immigration policies. And I think that was one of the most significant reasons why his numbers have dropped.
I think it's a little bit like gay marriage. Is once they start rounding up people, everybody is coworker or in the community almost in this country with someone who's not a citizen, who's an immigrant here, who might have unstable status. They're like, oh, they took Maria. She's my favorite. Blah blah blah.
I know people here in Maryland who have been taken that I've known and worked with. I didn't know how they came here or what their status was, and all of a sudden I hear this story that they've been picked up by ICE and they've been locked up, and one of the fellas sent back to I think it was Guatemala. So everybody knows someone. And they're not lawbreakers. They're part of the communities. The country could not work. Our country cannot work without immigrants. And if it wasn't for the Hispanic community, there are other communities as well. But what wasn't for that community in immigrants who have come here in the area of construction work, in hospitality work, in agriculture work, those industries would be really, really, because a lot of people in the U.S. don't want those jobs because they're tough jobs.
Yeah.
And they don't pay. Some of them don't pay very much. This is a reality, so we have to face it.
Yeah. We all, except for the Native Americans, came from somewhere else, and they even tried to arrest a Native American in Iowa. ICE did and deport her. They're going to deport her to where? I was curious, but she got saved at the last second. Let's go from the bad to the worst, which is our perhaps pedophile president, who showed up 1,600 plus times in the recent drop of some of the files, a portion, and has caused. There's a million things been said on this. I think let's stay on politics a little bit instead of diving into the exact details. The fallout with Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene on the Republican side, and Trump basically disowning them and trying to burn them from the party. I see this as is the beginning of the end for Trump, because that's his base. How do you see it?
I think you're right. I was wrong, but I was wrong. Months ago we were talking about this, and I've watched Trump for years, and he's skated by all these things that have any sexuality related to him. He seems to get through it. But I think now that the timber, the large beams under his house have termites in them, and he's in trouble. And so he's not handled it well. I guess there's nothing to handle. I mean, he's obviously in Epstein's files, because we know that from all the people that have done special reports here in the Washington papers and the Washington Post about people who have been connected to him, and so we know, and they've mentioned Trump's name on a number of occasions. So we know that they were close at one time. I know they have divorced their relationship over the last decade, but they were very close while Epstein was obviously trafficking young women and girls.
Mhm.
So that's a real serious problem. And just ask Prince Andrew, or former Prince Andrew. I don't know what his status is today, but it's a serious political problem for Trump, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's the end, but it's certainly moved in that direction. And you were
What's
right.
that?
You smelled that out a long time ago, and I give you credit for it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could just you could just tell by the pushback at that time that this was Trump's biggest fear. He's done some stuff that he knows if it comes out. And it sounds like there could be tapes and all that stuff. I'm also interested in the foreign policy stuff. I think we're gonna have two interesting votes. There's gonna be the vote on the releasing the Epstein files in the House coming up, and it just puts everybody on record. I think
Right.
that's a tough vote for Republicans, because if they vote,
For Republicans, yeah, it's not a tough
yeah,
vote. For Democrats, they will be
I'm going to
for
have
releasing it, but for some of the Republicans, it's a tough vote. I think it'll pass. It'll be released,
a
unless
second.
unless they, they're it's not above them to figure out some kind of a way, even if they have to gerrymander the parliamentarians. So I
Yes,
wouldn't shut the door yet. They're ruthless, and they know that this, as you pointed out, could cripple him for the rest of his term, which is 3 years. So uh, it's a
you
difficult issue for them.
you wonder if they'll do a unanimous consent or something to avoid each
Oh,
person having to go on the
they could,
record.
yeah, they'll think of something up. They'll try at the end, but I don't know if it's going to get very far, because there are some Republicans who, like Massey, as you mentioned, and Green, and there's some others that are not, going to back away from this.
This is a Democratic show, so I don't want to lean too much Republicans, but there's also, if you follow the folks who track the Republican Party, like the Bulwark, which I recommend, is there's a fight between the Heritage Foundation leader and for platforming Tucker Carlson, how Tucker Carlson platformed Fuentes, right, the Nazi sympathizer who has a big Graper following. But there's all these pieces of the Republican MAGA coalition that seems to be splintering, which is good news for us. So let's hope it
Yes, it
continues
is.
to happen. Yeah.
Split is what I say.
Split. And then to me, it's just run on affordability and corruption.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah, those two are good things to run on. But don't lose sight. You can get caught up in the Epstein thing. Don't lose sight of bread and butter.
yes.
Workers, pay, inflation in the grocery stores and at the gas pumps. Those are really kind of fundamental issues that people make their decisions. And we saw that. We know that from this last election just a month ago. So it's really very important to pay attention to that issue now. The others will take care of themselves, I think.
I think Mamdani, just to talk messaging for a second, has changed. Well, his impact on the Democratic Party politics in for someone who lives online as much as I do, the algorithms control part of my brain. He's just been brilliant at communicating progressive values and stories in a way that's I haven't seen anybody like him in the Democratic Party.
I
Um,
think the important thing that you mentioned there was in stories. We don't
yeah,
tell enough stories. That's how you message with people. That's how they message with each other throughout the day, throughout their lives. They tell stories,
exactly. And he did
and
this.
so
Yeah,
yeah, they don't.
I
this political speak that sometimes we fall into, it's not of interest to them. But if you tell them a story that and how it's applicable to their neighbor or their friend or even their political people, they'll maybe their ears will perk up and they'll react to it.
I encourage everyone to find his ad he dropped a day before. It starts in black. His mother's filmmaking history shows up in these things.
Oh yeah, she's made a wonderful film. My
Yeah,
wife saw it when it came out. Judy saw it years ago when it came out.
Mississippi Masala, I think it was.
This
Yeah,
is well, that one, but this
yeah.
is another one. This is about a chess game between a young African woman who is gifted, and I can't think of the name of it offhand, but she thought it was a spectacular movie.
And his father's like the leading historian on colonialism or anti-colonialism in the world. So he comes from a pretty special lineage there.
Yeah.
But that ad he did, it was on a topic of socialism, of the last Democratic Socialist congressman, who had an Italian name from the 20s and 30s and knew the Mayor LaGuardia, who was best friends with him. But he told that story in a way that was just brilliant, right? To mainstream Democratic Socialist ideas in a way that was just very, very appealing. So I'm blown away at his media savvy. He's also just like Obama. He's not afraid of any environment and can handle almost any question, right?
Yeah, he's a very, very gifted person, and with gifted lineage, as you just mentioned, and that's sometimes it's key. It is important. I mean, he beat a guy who had great lineage too. Mario Cuomo was an incredible leader in our party and in New York State, but his son kind of skewed the wrong way in a couple of different down a couple different streets, and so his career is in. But while we're on we slid into the political thing just a little bit here. I want to say another thing that I think you were right on, and I wasn't. And this is my Confiteor Deo Omnipotente, my confession today, because I thought what Newsom did in that election in California was amazing. I haven't seen anything like it in my political life, having to take on that issue and getting the majority of people to vote for it. I was very impressed with that. So it gives me a pause on my concern about him for other reasons. But he really, his estimation in my mind went up quite a bit.
Yeah, I'll say we were both wrong. It was a confession time. I don't think we were wrong at the time. Remember, post-presidential election, he started his own podcast and started to platform like Charlie Kirk and other people on his show. And we thought, too clever by half. And I think we were right at that time about that. But since then, I think he understands. I mean, so much of today's politics and the national side has to do with the crazy media ecosystem we live within.
Yeah.
It operates in this social media, and then there's the legacy media, and then there's everything in between, and how to toggle between those spaces in a way that's confident and constant. I mean, that's the sad thing I think about our politics today, is that it's a 24/7 sport.
Yeah.
And so
I would agree.
You have to play it if you're going to win, unfortunately.
Well, you certainly have to pay attention to it, and there are key times that you have to play it as well. But, I think people really appreciate people who have strong beliefs that are rooted in family and community. And, they'll support a person that has that kind of a reputation and record. And so it's go ahead.
You're seeing more of Newsom's wife lately too, which I see as a sign of he's definitely got the wife support to run.
That's usually a sign, yeah.
You can't do it without the spousal
support. It
support.
should be, I mean, you've got to be able to make your peace at home, and and then before you can take it out. But I was involved in a campaign once, and I won't even get into it, but you know which one I was involved in. We had problems at that with the candidate and his wife, and it just is debilitating. So it doesn't work. So you know, it's good to have your partner. I mean, that's the person that you're with all the time, or most of the time, and you know, you share things, you share ideas. You can't. Something as big as running for the presidency, if you don't have that piece, not good.
Forget it. Yeah, yeah. Hey, we got to switch to foreign policy for a second because we're about to go to war with a country without declaring it in Congress. I think we've done this before. So,
Yeah.
what's what is what is the legal process here? If you're a general and you are afraid of breaking the Constitution, the law, and Trump gives an order to attack Venezuela with overwhelming force and depose the president. Just give me your legal. Forget whether it's the right
Well,
thing to do or
yeah,
not. What's the
I'm
legal
not a
assessment?
lawyer, so I
Yes.
can't, and I'm not a jurist of any sort, so I can't play that role here. But I can tell you what the history has been since I've been involved in elected politics, which has been most of my life, over 50 years. Uh, it's been to back the president, to back the presidency. And, you know, I know what the Constitution says. You got to have a vote by the Congress to go to war.
Hmm.
That's not followed. And the reality is that, you know, when Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, not W,
Hmm.
the one first elected Bush president,
Yeah.
he went into Panama on the same way. And we had a war with Panama. People don't realize that. And a lot of people in Panama were killed as a
Yeah.
result of that. We had that happen in some other foreign adventures that we've engaged in. So they will cite other, they being the presidents who are militaristic and want to go to war, will cite other aspects of the Constitution and court opinions that allows them to do it. For instance, there's some people that are concerned about this Venezuela situation because it will give Trump the pretext to go to war and maybe declare martial law in this country because we are at war, quote unquote,
Oh,
and you know, and then suspend elections. It happens.
yeah. We know that's the Bannon Miller end game is can they start to tamper with elections in blue states, right?
Well, you always have to be worried about that with them because they were, you know, playing footsie with the Russians, some of
Hmm.
them, and then the Russians were trying to disrupt their election process, and they did. And they're always after it. They're trying to throw us off balance. So you've got to watch that. Yeah.
It, They brought the Russians, and I think it's an apt comparison with Trump because so many of his advisors from Manafort on were kind of trained in the Russian school of politics too. And one thing I think we see is, and I think Bannon is the chief engineer of this, is if you just pollute the media ecosystem enough with both your propaganda and just an onslaught of different stuff that basically people choose don't stop believing they can find the truth out of the news, and we're seeing that and then they just turn away from the news, and so or looking for the truth, so they become just cynical on everything. And once you have a populace that's just cynical on everything, you can kind of get away with anything. And it gets back to this corruption, like the blatant theft going on out of this administration. Is
Oh,
is astounding, right? From the crypto,
corruption is huge. Yeah.
I think it's even astounding to a lot of Republicans. You're hearing that
Right.
they're overwhelmed by it, and the family. Why? Sorry, I bounced around here, but there's just so much happening at once. But I think this goes along with this. How can we just suddenly go to war with Venezuela? When even people who know Venezuela is not really producing the drugs that are being shipped here, right? So there's just like a truth vacuum And it doesn't seem like our legacy media outlets are able to step up to the plate in this moment.
Right.
And that's the question I want to get. Why is the news media, is the news media worse than it ever was, or is it not just how it appears?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a mixed bag. I mean, you have some really good reporters and uh, programs, but then you have others that are not. And but the thing is that Fox is the least credible, but it's got the biggest audience.
Mhm.
So that's a huge problem for a democracy, I think.
Yeah.
And they don't clean. They're not. They make attempts to clean it up over there, but they really haven't done it because their base is basically with the Trumps of the world. That's where their base is. So
Let me go down one more rabbit hole with you. Sorry, I'm trying to. I know we're at time here, but let's say this Epstein stuff blows up even more. There's a video of the president doing things that he just can't. He has to. He's forced out of office by impeachment or by resignation. What's it goes to Vance, but there's a chance that Vance gets swept up in that too. Give me, were you ever part of any of these? And you came to Congress post Watergate, but let's just go down
no,
that
it was
rabbit
during.
hole.
It was it was the whole Watergate thing was. Oh, well, it was over by the time I got to the Congress. Yeah, but I was in local. I was in state office in Michigan while it was going on here. So, what are you asking?
Yeah, so I think this is a 50-50 possibility of Trump leaving office before his term ends.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. And the betting markets too, now you can bet on anything, right? It's 52, 53% say he's going to get impeached again.
Oh God, I don't think that'll happen. Yeah.
Uh, so
I don't think you'll get impeached in the House. No.
I think they'll take back the House and then I think there's a potential there.
Well, if we take back the House, that could happen. Yeah, but
Yeah,
then he would have protection
in
in
the
the
Senate.
Senate in the trial because he's got all these people. But senators can run for the hills too. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm just interested in this. What are the secession? It goes VP. Who's after the VP? Speaker of the House?
Speaker of the House. Yeah.
I just, I don't think it's completely impossible that the Speaker of the House takes control of the country in the next 4 years.
I think on Vance though. I think he's got skills, real skills that Trump doesn't have.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with him. I think he's a little slimy, a lot slimy actually. And he's playing along to get along to be able to have that front runner status in the next election, which I think he will have as the vice president. He's been loyal and all of that, and that crowd will support him. But yeah, I wouldn't underestimate him.
Oh, you think so? He's so despicable. I think he's hated by a lot of people, but you're probably right. He's got enough support there.
Yeah.
And let's end on Ukraine. You're writing some pieces. Where can we find some of the Ukrainian writings about your recent trip?
Well, I haven't had it even published yet. I just finished writing the trip. It was a 2-week trip, and we did a lot of things. And we talked about that once before in the show, so I don't want to repeat it. But there's probably some of it will get published. It's long. It's like 70 pages, and but I don't know where that is yet. So we'll see. I mean, I could always get it on Substack or Medium or some other place, or I could find another publisher, but I'm not at that point yet.
I think I started to read it. It's very moving and strong, David. So I hope you submit it to a major publication here. It's good.
Okay, thank you.
So let's check in a few weeks, and it'll feel like a few years have gone by. The way things move in politics today.
They do. They really do move. You never know. You wake up and things could have changed overnight, but we'll see what happens. It's a very volatile world we're living in these days, and so and then the whole question of what is the truth is so key. And it is confusing, as you pointed out, to people. What is actually the truth here? We used to have people we could follow in the news or the news media or wise people that we trusted. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, bending the truth has always been part of politics, but when you get to the upside down, where up is down and down is up,
Yeah,
which
it's
is what these
really good.
tariffs don't raise prices. Just flat, provably false claims, right? That I don't think until we rectify that we can actually fix this democracy, right?
No, but we'll see. We had a good election, and if we can follow that up with a good midtermer in this coming the next November, we'll see. It could change a lot of things.
Well, thanks for giving me another thing to lose sleep about: martial law after the invasion of Venezuela.
I have someone who worked for me who's on that issue and is writing about that actually, and I'm thinking Substack. And his name is Tim Colley. He was a veteran, Vietnam War veteran, served in combat in Vietnam, and he's very concerned about it. And he's tracing all the things that are going on with respect to this issue and the possibility that this is what they're up to. So
there's no bottom to these guys, and it's individual citizen action. We all have to speak up, show up.
Right? Yeah, he's doing a good thing, and we'll see, he's investigating it and writing about it from what he sees, so it's good.
I'll subscribe for sure.
Okay.
Now go Commanders, go Bears. Have a great Sunday, David.
Okay. Thank you. You too, Brian. I wish you well.